Hello, good morning. Nicola McKenna here in Dublin, Ireland. Gonna get this up here. Yeah. It's a bit cold today now. It's a bit cold in Ireland. It's -3 Celsius, which, look, I just love those colder temperatures. I don't mind them at all. So I hope this finds you well. I do the morning pages, but I do them kind of shorter. And I like to build a habit with this practice. So many of us pages, and that practice can be quite punishing and just a bit bonkers sometimes. It is great if that's your cup of tea, but a lot of us have kind of other responsibilities, and pushing through just makes us sick. Pushing through just sacrifices our well-being, and can leave us in a place where we're just not able to keep going at that rate. So over the years, I have developed just a shorter, more compassionate filled. So you might know that already. During that, she gets you to do artist states, and one of the things we do is to clear out the gunk with morning pages. And gunk looks anything. It can be doodles, or it can be that kind of thing. She asks us to do 3 of these daily. 1, 2, 3, 3 leaves, not books, and that can be really hard. So over the years, and I've been doing this for 10 years, I'm feeling angry. Put it down. Put it down. Just get it out of you and onto the page, because the page is safe and the page will not judge you. The page won't have a go at you and say, "Oh, you really should do that yourself," or "Oh, you really should do three pages." So to that end, I want to talk to you this morning about work and worth and money. Okay, so we started talking this morning about hiring someone to do a job that you can hire the person to do. That's something you should be doing yourself. And during the Artist's Way, Julia gets us to look at the notion of work and worth. Money, yes, also comes in, but it mostly comes down to, a lot of the time, it comes down to your family of origin, and whether or not work was very highly prized. So what was very highly prized in your family? We often look at that when we do the Artist's Way, because one of the things that we do during morning pages, for example, we scribble. We get to not dot our I's or cross our T's. We get to be messy. We get to talk in shorter sentences. We get to not do it right. We're encouraged to not do it right. Same for the artist's states. Artist's states are supposed to be indulgent, pleasurable, treats, spoiling, all those words. All those, make space for the child that we are inside. We're encouraged to give a bit of a playground to that child. And that could be going out to a gallery. It could be listening to hip hop. It could be listening to slam poetry. Whatever your inner child is wanting, it's generally not work. It's generally play. It's generally fun, playful, expressive. It's not depressive or oppressive. Maybe the way we were brought up, or the schooling that we got, or the relationships that we got was filled with rules. This is what's going to happen. No digression from this thing. So when that's the case, sometimes we can really struggle on the Artist's Way. Sometimes we can really struggle with the idea of playing, with the idea of breaking a rule or two. So I'm here to, I suppose, guide you a wee bit and shepherd you a wee bit, because of course the morning pages that I do Monday to Thursday are always just 10 minutes, re-educating our idea of what work is, and it's reconditioning the idea of what's permitted. And that can be really, really long and slow. you know. So on the Artist's Way, we do talk a good bit about our relationship with work, you know. I remember I had one person on a course, and she said week after week, Nicola, I'm really struggling to and it was really starting to come in on her. And we started talking about the notion of work, and she explained that in her family of origin, work was all um, the only thing that mattered. Work was, I suppose, a measure of your worth, and it was a measure of how much it felt, how much the child was loved. A massive thing, still is a massive thing in my family, to the point where I have struggled to hire anyone to do things that I can do, that maybe I should do, that my head is telling me I should do. And so I have hired a person. So for 18 years, we've lived in this house, and for 18 years, I have not painted the kitchen. Okay. And the paint is peeling at this stage, and it's disgusting, and there's grime everywhere. And eventually I am telling me what I can and should do. But ultimately, I'm looking at the history book that's saying 18 years and it's not done yet. And that's, I can either use that to self-flagellate, or I can use it to say, okay, I've tried it my way. It's not working. You know, and it's because I'm trying to get away from this idea that my worth is tied up to my work, and that I'm only worthy if I'm, doing all of the things all of the time. Will be enough. But that notion of that I'm only useful, or I'm only lovable if I'm able to earn, or if I'm able to produce something, that can really trip us up on our way along this Artist's Way, you know. So that definitely came into focus today. There's so much more I could talk about on this, but I'm just going to get on with the pages. Um, the work thing is a major. If that is a thing for you, bring it up. Bring it up with your facilitator. Bring it up with your co cluster mates, and say, I'm really struggling with play, and look at the opposite. Sometimes look at the opposite of play. What's the opposite of play? Work. Oh, it's because I feel the urge to work all the time. I feel the urge to be earning, or I feel the urge to, prove myself somehow. Mandakini, you're on. Hiya, good morning. In which chapter is identity? Okay. Actually, what I'll do is I'll go into the index at the back and just look up the word work. The point of work. Yeah, when she talks about work, she's talking about artwork, creative work. So I might look up the word productivity instead, or money. Productivity. Process addiction, alcoholism, workaholism comes up in 168, which is do it back in chapter 2. But that's times, I suppose. So hang on. Yeah, I suppose I always turn to week 2 anyway, because of the poisonous playmates and the crazy makers. And those 2 essays, Mandakini, are huge, because they're often the same sources as the ones who have taught us about the value of work, or the value of work above all else. And in my case, that was the case. The crazy makers were still the same. Yeah, the index is great, Mandakini. I still use the index. Let's say I'm struggling with faith. I'll go and look up the word either faith or trust. Or I'm being really hard on myself, and I'll look up the word compassion, or just read all of chapter 9. Do you know what I mean? Chapter 9 is my favorite. It's all about compassion. Yeah, kind of half thinking about doing the Artist's Way again. Jeepers. I might put out a little, obviously. Um, but yeah, just finding more and more of my people. I struggled before to find people who were into it as well, you know. And now I'm finding more people and I'm kind of thinking, oh, you know, and there's other people starting creative clusters and I'm kind of going a wee bit FOMO, a wee bit fear of missing out. And I wonder what that would feel like. You know, the fact is I've done it and I just have to remind myself that I've done it already. And, you know, now is the time for other things in my life. So yeah, you know what I mean? It's really nice. Anyway, let's get going with the pages. We are almost 1/4 past the hour. If you're watching on the replay, let me know how things are going for you. If there's anything you want from me, if you anything you need from me. On a Friday, we go longer, okay? On a Friday, we do 3 and 45, where we set a timer. And we're focused more on the timing than the number of pages, okay? So we're more focused on setting aside the time rather than I have a sign on a table and then walking away and thinking they will turn up. And they do. All of the things come when we put aside the time for it, you know, but sometimes we just need a little bit of force to do that. And we only do it once a week because the rest of the time we're trying to build up maybe a wee bit of a habit that will allow us cry off if we need to. Does that make sense? Manikini says, social media can be so distracting and demeaning of one's own timing. I've restricted my time and interaction there since you spoke of reading deprivation. Yeah, people obviously need it for work. Some people need it for business. And some people really are just genuinely lonely and needing that sense of connection and engagement. And I think social media is wonderful in many, many ways. But when we've just had too much, we also need to pay attention to that and get aware of that and walk away from it, you know. And it's demeaning of one's own timing. So yeah, after these YouTube things, I generally just walk away. But I like the chats that we have on the groups. Are you ready? Let us go. Let us go. Oh God, where's my watch? Where's my watch? To use this now instead. Hang on. Timers. 10 minutes. 10 minutes is just a nice kind of way of easing into this practice, I think, you know. So we used to do 13 minutes for some reason. Anyway, are we ready? Yeah? All righty. Let's go. And now, hopefully. there, dear. Sorry. Okay, our time is up. Time is up. Let's do a 1-minute review, Mandakini, and I can stay on after this if you want to talk about work, because I have a few notes on work. All right, so for now, let's review, okay? Same pen or other? And time's up. I know, it goes way too quick. It goes way too quick. If you can stay on, Mandakini, let's, because I have a couple of things to say about work. Okay. If you need to go, that's okay. First of all, well done on this little habit, this little compassion and generously filled habit where we can cry off if we need to, okay? Please do cry off the pages as and when you need to, because they are always, always here when you are ready to come back. The notion of having a streak or, doing it 365 days, a year, if you're setting yourself these kind of challenges, I would urge you to ask why. I would urge you to ask why. Ask yourself why, and ask yourself on the pages why you're doing, streaks. The notion of work and anyone else who's working. Before we did our 10 minutes, we talked about work being equated often to our value or our lovability, And during my pages, I remembered that the notion of work is spread all the way through The Artist's Way book, okay? It's focused on, I think there's one essay, What's the Point of Work, 171, and Treating as Play, 153. 171. Okay, so in week number 10, on page 171, there's the notion of, that would be perfect actually. Workaholism. There's an essay on workaholism in week number 10, followed by an essay on drought, followed by an essay on fame. And that can be really, really useful to talk about that. So in a lot of our, I suppose, in our places of origin, work would have been the reason that you have so many children historically. But I don't know about you. I don't know many children who like to work. And, some of us like to play. And some of us like to play a lot more than we're allowed. So trying to find an understanding of where we came from and whether or not play was encouraged. And I remember when we got married, we had to go to like a meeting, religious meeting, to examine what we're leaving and what we're going into. and it was a lovely. God, I'd love to take all of the laughter and the crack and the fun and the playfulness that they have in that family and bring it into this new family that we're making. And he spotted things in my family that he wanted to bring into his. But um, by the same token, we're looking also at how we regard work and how we regard money and worth. And we do that in week number 10. God has the gamut, actually, doesn't she? Because the very final essay is on competition. So first she had fame and then she had competition, being that notion of comparing ourselves against the other person. And rightly or wrongly, I've always been compared to someone else in my life. I'm not going to say who, but that person is not aware of it, and that person has earned their achievements wonderfully. The person who's comparing us is both of us, and it's just not helpful, because it means that I start to resent that other woman. I don't know how she feels about me, but definitely, it's hard to feel happy for someone's achievement if a third party is constantly comparing one against the other. You know what I mean? So here's a good line, actually. This is on page 173. So that's about week 10. Okay, I'll read it out for you. You don't need the book, okay? So I'll read out a little bit of competition for you. Competition further, faster towards your dream. Instead of saying that proves that it can be done, your fear will say he or she will succeed instead of me. Competition is another spiritual drug, says Julia. When we focus on competition, we poison our own well, impede our own progress. When we are ogling the accomplishments of others, we take our eye away from our own through line. We ask ourselves the wrong questions, and those wrong questions give us the wrong answers. And then in inverted commas, why do I have before I got mine out? Is it because of sexism? Or what's the use? What do I have to offer? We often ask these questions as we try to talk ourselves out of creating. All right, so we talk ourselves out of creation. I do it all the time. Questions like these allow us to ignore more useful questions, such as, did I work on my play today? Did I work on my play today? Did I make the deadline to mail it off where it needed to go? Have I done any of them can be hard for us. No wonder it is tempting to emotional drink instead. No wonder so many of us read People magazine or the New York Times book review or Lears or Mirabella or Esquire and use them to wallow in a lot of unhealthy envy. All right. If you want to take People magazine or New York Times book review or Lears or Esquire and replace it maybe with Instagram, or replace it maybe with our gossipy neighbors, or replace it with Facebook, wherever that sense of, oh my God, there's not enough space for me. Oh my gosh, I'm missing out here, or oh, you're not alone. we all have felt that. The antidote to all of that is it's mostly to do with being true to yourself and doing the work that's true to yourself, doing the play that's true to yourself. Okay. That's kind of the antidote to all of that, because you're going to be so busy once you find the thing that you really want to do. And that could be something short, like, 8 minutes on a poem or 10 minutes of morning pages. It can be something small. And working on that small thing for a small period of time enough to distract you enough from the competition, to distract you from the FOMO, and make you feel less rubbish. I know it's kind of magic. So that's what I mean when I say the antidote to all of this is work. but it has to be the work that your heart is wanting you to make, that your soul just cries out and just, oh God, just give me a break. Just, I've had enough of right what needs to come out of me, you know. I'm kind of in that place at the moment with writing. So just kind of sitting with that and working through it at the moment, you know. So look, we're always on this way. We are always on this artist's way, lads. I tell you. Guys, you're fairly quiet, so I'm going to wrap up. I'm not going to talk too much longer unless you want to stay on. Otherwise, I'm just kind of talking myself. But yeah, the notion of making excuses for not doing the thing, it's often because we think, there's 800 other people writing books about yoga, and I want to write a book about yoga. The fact is that nobody will do it like you. Nobody will do it like you, you know. And I spoke to a man last week who wanted to write a book about something very, very niche. Okay. So in Ireland, there's lots of different religions, but one of them is Church of Ireland. And in the churches and the buildings themselves, they often have brass plaques honoring the number of Italy. Some of the churches have put up plaques, brass plaques, all around Dublin, Ireland. And this particular man is fascinated with the World War One, and these plaques. And he has an idea of maybe writing a book about it. And he expressed the, kind of considerable consideration where he says to me, but it's probably been done already, or someone has or won, but none of them will be in this man's voice, and none of them will be in this man's approach. And that's kind of vital, it's kind of vital to the creative process that we see the unique heart and soul of the person who is writing the book and bringing it out and offering it to the universe and saying, here, this is what I made. So at the time we kind of talked about the value of his voice, and what he might do to hone that voice, or to look after it, or to protect it. And I think one of the first things I said to him was, protect your voice, protect this idea. Don't tell too many people, because inevitably, the more people hear about it, the more naysayers. So it's really important, especially when we're starting to that we find the tribe who have either done it before or who want to do it themselves, and who aren't just talking, and who might have the fear but work through it anyway, or work with the fear. Just try and stay away from the folks who have the fear and will tell you about that fear, which are generally crazy makers, or what's the other one? Crazy makers and poisonous playmates. Yeah, poisonous playmates. Mandakini says, true honoring oneself enough to consider one's offering worthy. I'm doing the face saying it, but I'll just keep saying it, because nobody can tell the story that you're telling. Nobody can do it your way. And there's such value in that, we're I think we're a bit smothered sometimes with statistics about how hard it is to get into publishing the work anyway, or we find a way of moving that mindset out of the way and finding more abundant mindset, and kind of cultivating that, and looking after that, and making sure that it doesn't die in the water, so that's that's what this process is all about. Holy God, it is all about that. Um, yeah, we could read some more. Amanda Keeney, where are you on your Artist Way 5-ish, aren't you? So I don't want to get too far into 10 or anything, but please stick with whatever week you're on. I don't know if you know, but well, there's a chance of parking it at any time. But it sounds like you're making great progress, and I would urge you to just stick with it, especially if you're wanting to cry off, if you're wanting to park the book. Um, lean on me if I can be of any help to you. I've always found week 5 plays when I just want to run, don't walk, because it's that difficult. The truths I'm facing are that difficult, and I just want to walk along. Amanda Keeney, I'm just logging along quite haphazardly, following your lead. Okay, great. Sounds brilliant. Sounds good, Amanda Keeney. Talk about, because it's just me and you, I think. Really, the book is so group I go through with, I find something new. I tend to not do a lot of the tasks. I tend to, I was given advice one time that the tasks you're most resisting, the tasks you don't want to do, those are the ones you need to do. And that's kind of useful as well. Mandakini, yeah, it's wonderful to have you here. Yeah, listen, it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. I'm going to let you go, Mandakini. I think 45 minutes is plenty to be keeping anyone. And if you're watching on the replay, thanks so much for watching this. My hands full. I have my hands full. You never don't have your hands full, do you? Anyway, look, let me continue to clear my decks, and yeah, I'll take this idea of running the Artist's Way again, and I'll put it down on the paper, and I'll see what the paper has to say, because we need a little dialogue here. I need to have a self dialogue to figure out, because I want to bring my everything to it. Well, I just don't want to be living in a half painted house, basically. This is Nicola McKenna. So I'm here all week, and then on Friday we go longer. Okay, so bring whatever questions or problems or queries you have to me over the next few days. Fridays we just tend to get straight into it. All right. Okay. Thanks, Mandakini. Have a great one. Bye. Bye. Bye.